And I think having people involved, having the downtown association, having the city, having everything, the collaborations, the stores opening up, I feel like it has revitalized that area. And that is something that I know that we're trying to do. Part of the downtown association is also is revitalizing that, like the flower programs. The flowers have now gone from Main Street over to Klamath Avenue.
Welcome to Shaping the Basin. I'm here with Lori Stiehr. Welcome.
Thank you.
How long have you been in the community?
I have been here for it'll be 6 years this October. I've been coming here since 2016. My daughter got recruited to play soccer for Oregon Tech, and she came here. She visited the school the very same day. She said, yes, this is where she wanted to be. I feel the small town feel to it was what she liked. We came from a small town. So Galt, California is kind of a rural area that she grew up in. She grew up, in on property, riding horses, things like that. So she had decided that Oregon Tech was that atmosphere that she wanted, the small town feel. The academics definitely met her requirements. And then she got to play soccer. So that was a win-win for her. So we ended up coming here. Obviously, we were the mad soccer parents. So we came and we watched her play soccer every weekend.
Yeah. Were you soccer parents before she started playing soccer? Are you guys soccer people?
No, not at all. But she started playing soccer when she was 10. So that was a lot. She went right in from playing just your normal county line rec to literally 2 years later playing comp soccer. And that's where we got introduced to traveling a lot with comp soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she came here and you had to travel a lot here to see her.
We did, but it became a norm for us. Every Friday we'd get off of work and we'd drive up here for our 5 hours, and we would stay for the weekend, leave late on a Sunday and go home and start the week off the same. And then next Friday was the same thing. So pretty much that just became our routine.
Yeah. So what was it about Klamath Falls that made you finally realize you wanted to move here?
We also fell in love with the small town. We fell in love with the small town feel of it. Actually downtown was kind of a fun little. Um, it's funny I say that. It's not, the downtown wasn't obviously a deciding factor for us, but when we came down here, we thought, it's got the old charm to it, and this is really kind of cool. We didn't really explore Klamath a lot. We just did our own little circle of, we stayed at the hotel, we did the soccer thing. But then once we actually moved here in 2020, that's when we really started to see what Klamath had. And we moved here by accident. So we weren't supposed to move here that soon. I ended up starting to look for houses, and my husband was not quite ready to move yet because he was still working down in California with the sheriff's department. And I accidentally found a house and said, well, I think we're moving now. And he said, I'm not retired yet. You can stay with your parents and I'll just move up there. And my job at the time was doing mortgage loans. That's all I did. So I was remote. So I could work from anywhere. And he was on his way out. He was going to be able to retire at 50. So he was almost there. So I said, well, you can stay with your parents and we're just going to move up here because this is where you want to be. Just the people we found, it was shocking that you would walk by somebody and they'd smile and say hi to you. That was a big factor for us because in California, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
People don't smile and say hi to you. It's just don't make eye contact. And yeah, so.
I didn't realize you moved here in 2020.
We did.
Was it hard to meet people that year though?
Not really, because I guess it was the end of 2020. It was October.
Okay.
So we didn't actually we bought our house in 2020 of October of 2020, but we didn't actually even though I moved here, we still had our house in California. And once we sold that in January, we ended up here permanently, but I don't think so. I mean, we still had the school stuff, that Jenna was going to start studying for her MCAT. So she had graduated from college, but then she was starting the studying for her MCATs because she was going to be a doctor. And so she had that, and then I had my loans. So a lot of my time anyway was spent in an office.
Yeah.
So I didn't really get out and meet too many people. But actually, one of the first things I ever did was, as far as the community, was become a ambassador for the chamber.
You did. I actually had forgotten that you did that.
I did.
That's
Yes.
funny.
Yeah,
It's been a long time with our ambassadors. There's lots of them, but I do remember now that you mention it.
I was.
That's fun.
Yes.
And then you opened your store,
Yes, I did.
Woodsy Kitchen. What year was that?
Oh, my Atlanta. So that will be 3 years. So 2023.
Okay.
We opened officially June of 2023.
Did you always want to be a business owner?
No.
No.
No. Funny because being here in Oregon, we've met more people and have made more lasting relationships than we ever did in California. And I think because in California, our life was just strictly kids, sports, work, and that's all we did. Um, Here, we got involved a little bit more. We got involved with different organizations. And then really after the mortgage business started to die down a little bit, the whole rush, 2020 and 2021 was crazy for me. I got really burnt out. And so also Chris was going to retire. So I said, "You're too young to just not do anything. You
Mhm.
have to do something." And so we actually had ideas of doing other types of businesses. One was actually a tap house. That was one of our first thoughts. And lo and behold, our friends were going to open up a tap house. We're like, well, I don't want to be another community where all you have is bars or tap houses. So we need to come up with a different idea. So we came up with the idea of a kitchen store. And so we thought, okay, well, I think it literally 6 months in planning and it happened,
Mhm.
which was really super fast. Because a lot of people ask me, so did you have a store like this in California or did you have a business like this before? No, this was really kind of a whim.
Mhm. Why a kitchen store?
We thought about what does Klamath not have? What does Klamath need? Um, and so the kitchen store happened.
Mhm.
And one of the biggest ideas for us for the kitchen store was obviously our oils and vinegars. That had to be a must for us. I needed something to make us stand out and something that would bring our customers coming back for something that's a good quality. So that was a must. It was a pretty large investment, but it's been the best investment we've made.
Oh. What was it like changing from being the mortgage lender and working from somebody else to being you're a business owner? What's that been like?
Actually, it's funny because being a loan officer doing mortgage loans, you're really, even though you're working for a company, you're still kind of working for yourself. Because if you don't generate the loans, you don't get paid.
Mhm.
And the company that you're working under is really just somebody you're working under. It really is still your responsibility. We're licensed, we're bonded, we have to take continue it every year. So we're responsible for what we do. Um, and I don't know if you know much about the loan side of it, but there are some pretty intense um, what would you say, rules and regulations that we must follow. And if we don't, it could be jail time.
Mhm.
So it's like being your own business owner because you have to still be responsible. And so opening up the kitchen store, I feel like it's being a business owner, paper wise, was no different for me. But being a retail business owner, that has been definitely a lesson.
What do you think? Tell me something you've learned about being a retail business owner.
Um, I actually really do like it. I feel like I am a people pleaser and I love to make people happy. And when we first decided to open up the kitchen store, it was a huge question mark for us. Like, what is this going to make it? You had people saying to you, "Oh, well, good luck, hope you make it." Things like that. Hope it's not the Klamath curse. We heard all these things about, wow, like, should we really be doing this? And so we did decide that we're just going to take the chance. And it was 100% in. Um, the thing I find with our community is we had a lot more support than I thought we would. Um, I feel like our store is unique enough to where people wanted to come and shop, but people want to come back. But we've also built a lot of relationships. So it's fun because we build relationships with people. So it's not just somebody who comes into the store and we never see them again. We have people that come back all the time. And so we've created relationships. So it's definitely uh, it's exciting actually. We have our moments. We have good and bad. I think with anything. Right now, it's been kind of slow. I think just the economy itself has been slow. So, but nothing to where we're like, oh, we're gonna have to, throw in the towel and the Klamath curse has hit us. Not nothing like that.
Good.
But we're learning as we go on a lot of things. But it's full steam ahead, and so we've actually enjoyed doing what we're doing. And of course, as we have lots going on. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes, you do.
yeah.
Uh, Speaking of like building relationships, that is something that I know about you. But what are some of the tips that you have? Maybe somebody here that's watching is new to the community. How did you get involved and build some of those?
It is just through meeting people. So obviously, with me, it started with being an ambassador with the chamber. Getting involved in the community that way, going to Wake at Eights, meeting people that way, helped me to establish those relationships. But then one thing led to another. And I say, get involved. Like if you want to know something about your community, you really want to know what's going on in your community, or how can you help the community, then that is definitely a way to do it. So after I did the ambassadors, I went and I actually was doing an ambassadors, but I also joined Rotary. And then I actually ended up joining Seroptimus. And it's funny because everybody had different meeting times. And once opened up the store, I was like, I don't have time to do all of this stuff. So I did end up giving up being an ambassador was the first thing I had to give up. But still, I get the Awake at Eight, so I could still go to that. Because I'm still a member of the chamber. So I figured, well, I'll just have to give that up. And then eventually, I had to give up Rotary as well. So our life has become so busy that I had to give that stuff up. But I now belong with the KFDA, so it's kind of like, well, this is my business is downtown. So how can I help not only my business, but other businesses and other people downtown? How can we make that a better experience for people? And so then I became a part of that organization. And I love the people that are in that organization. And it has a big part of my heart.
Mhm. Well, the downtown was part of the reason you fell in love with it here, right?
It was.
That makes sense.
Yes. I like old things, and the downtown is old and historic. It just has a lot of charm.
Mhm. We have a really neat downtown, and I don't think people always, I think we take it for granted sometimes because we're down there. Yeah.
I think so too. But I feel like when we looked at numbers, and I think it was Discover Klamath had given us some numbers of tourism, and that 30% of our businesses is more than likely related to tourism. And that was kind of an eye opener when we thought about the numbers. how many people shop downtown that live locally. And when you think about 30% being tourism, that number is to me not high enough. Like we still need to get people that live here in Klamath to come and shop and be a part of the downtown.
It's easy to get lost. Don't know which path to take, what to post. In the social media jungle, video is king. Your kids are obsessed, your customers are addicted, we're all hooked, and social media sites prioritize videos. So when you're ready to stand out from the crowd, reach out to 40 Deuce Films. Feeling over everything.
What did you mentioned you never really thought about being a business owner? What did you want to be when you were growing up?
um, well, if we really think about what I wanted to be when I grew up, when I was younger, I just wanted to be a mom.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to work. My ambition was to be a mom and just be a good mom. I had a very dysfunctional family life. And so my goal was to be a mom, but do everything right. And then, obviously you can't do everything right, but try to do everything as much as possible right. But do everything that, as my childhood, do the opposite. So that was my goal, was just to be a mom.
To be a mom.
Mm-hmm.
And you are a mom.
I am a mom.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Did you grow up in Colorado? Or I said Colorado, California.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes, born and raised. And I moved around a lot, but I met my husband when I was 25. And that's where he was born and raised in Galt. So I met him, and that's where we lived the whole time until we moved here.
Was he with the sheriff's department then? Was he in law enforcement?
No, when I met him, he was 21. He was still struggling with school. And I was not. I was that adult who said, I am ready to have a family. And yeah, if you're not on board, sorry. I'm ready to have that family. So he was on board. So it was good.
Nice.
Yeah.
How many years did he serve in law enforcement?
He did, oh my gosh, over 20.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that hard to be a law enforcement wife?
A lot of people think that it's not that big of a deal, but it is. Um, you know, we sacrifice a lot, and they sacrifice a lot as just being in law enforcement and being where he was. He was with the sheriff's department, but he had a pretty rough area that he patrolled. And I learned from the beginning when he first got on with the sheriff's department. I had a scanner, and my first lesson was don't listen to the scanner. I was at home. My kids were both very small, and I had the scanner on, and I had got privy to listen to one of the calls that he was on, and he was having a situation where he was being pursued by somebody. And so it was really scary. And then obviously it goes radio silence and you can't hear anything. And so I was freaking out. And he told me the next day after he got home, he said, you have to throw that scanner away. So I did. Yeah, because I never wanted to hear what he had to do again. I went on it right along with him one time, and I envy what they do because it's not easy, and they don't really get the love and the credit that they should have because they are sacrificing their lives when they go out there.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like I'm also sacrificing that too because the profession that he's in. But that's why he retired at 50. I said, we're done. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is he super involved with business?
He was in the beginning. So when he helped us set it all up, the store part of it, he's not as active anymore because that's pretty much set up and well established. He does a lot of the barbecuing now. So as you know, we built that trailer last year, And we have used that trailer a lot, and it has done a lot of things. And I didn't think that it would get to that either. I didn't really think we would get that popular. Um, but we do, and he cooks good food. So he had told me, he said, he promised me if I let him build this trailer that he would cook anything I wanted him to. So I've held him to it.
Have you?
Yes.
What was the first thing you made him cook?
First thing was tri-tip.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. His specialty is definitely the tri-tip and the chicken. But I feel like everything he cooks on there, it just comes out good.
Yeah. Does he do the majority of the cooking in the house?
He does for now.
For now.
Yeah.
Do you like to cook?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't used to because we obviously, when Jenna was growing up in soccer, we were always gone and always traveling, whether it was practice or games or, a competition. So we did a lot of eating out or quick eating. So I lost the love of cooking. But that's the one thing I love about my store is I now have a love of cooking again. The oils, the vinegars, the recipes, we've learned a lot how to use them, and we've incorporated them a lot in everything that we do, and we incorporate them in the barbecue.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I really do. I do like cooking
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. What's the biggest challenge with being a retail business owner?
I think it's just not knowing from day to day how is your business going to do. But I feel like if you are financially stable, then you don't really have to worry about the day to day. And I'm not saying that we're doing good and that's just the way I feel, right? We have good days, bad days at the store, right? Some days we have good business, some days we don't. But they all equal out. So challenges of just being an owner is, going with the waves of retail.
Mhm.
You're gonna have great days, you're gonna have bad days. But that would be my challenge.
Yeah.
I'm obviously we have Cassie in the store, so it's very family oriented. I'm hoping that someday we get to, pass that down to them, and I can retire. But I don't know if that's ever going to happen because I can't stay out of things. I'm just always wanting to stay busy.
And you're still doing the loans.
I am.
So
Yes.
the retail store is not the only thing you're doing.
It is not. No, I do the loans. We do the barbecuing. So now when the barbecuing or catering stuff, he does the barbecuing side of it. I do all of the sides. I
Mhm.
do all of the ordering of the food and the shopping of the food and the list and the fun things. He gets to do the barbecuing. So he gets the most important part. But no, we have that going for us. We have the catering going for us. We have our pub bike coming out probably in June.
Oh,
Yeah.
this year?
Well, it's
Oh,
only been a 2-year adventure.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but
That'll be
we
fun.
have all kinds of things going
Mhm.
on. So, but I have finally told Chris that it's time we need to just, this is what we're going to focus on. And we're pretty maxed out. So
Yeah. How do you find time for everything? Because you're involved in a lot of stuff. You've already mentioned some of the committees that you're on, some of the boards that you're on, plus running the business, plus loans. How do you find time for all that?
it's funny because I've been asked before, so how do you enjoy your house out at the Red and White when you're never there? And I'm like, well, I feel like even if I retired, I just I like to stay busy.
Mhm.
My brain, I feel like my brain's just it doesn't want to turn off. So I'm just one of those people that always have to be moving around and doing something. Um, but I also have to learn what my limitations are. And I'm starting to learn that as I'm getting older. I know that I can't do it all. So I'm finally realizing that. And we're just we're gonna stick with what we got but give it 100% because I always feel like if you can't give something 100%, then you
Mhm.
shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. When you think about what downtown was like in 2016 when you started coming here to what it's like now, what do you think?
it's a huge difference. Huge difference. when we came up here in 2016, I felt like it was an old Western where there was hardly anybody here and there wasn't really a lot of things happening. You would drive downtown and there just wasn't a lot of people. You always imagine such a cool downtown with all of the historic buildings that you're going to have people walking around. It didn't have that feel when we first started coming up here. But then we have watched it just slowly come to life. And I think having people involved, having the downtown association, having the city, having everything, the collaborations, the stores opening up, I feel like it has revitalized that area, and that is something that I know that we're trying to do. Part of the downtown association is also is revitalizing that, like the flower programs. The flowers have now gone from Main Street over to Klamath Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a huge difference,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty proud of the downtown. It's pretty cool.
It's kind of fun to have you down in that block. I mean, for a long time, it felt like that end of downtown there wasn't much there. And so it's kind of fun
It's
to
like the
see
dead
it.
end.
Yeah.
Yes.
But now it's like part of the rest of it.
It is. And I love the building we're in. I love that area. I like the idea of the hotel next to us has a new owner, and they have some really cool plans for that building. And like I said, the building we're in, I knew when I saw that space that we needed to be there. I get asked a lot now of, well, don't you feel like you're going to outgrow this space? Yeah, I could outgrow the space pretty easily, but I feel it's the space that we're in, the building we're in, the look of the space in the building. We couldn't get that anywhere else.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, I'm excited that you're in Klamath, and I appreciate your time today. Can you believe it's been 30 minutes already?
No.
Or that long? Yeah, it's been a lot. I have 3 fun questions for you at the end.
Okay.
If I give you $250,000 to make a difference today in our community, what would you do with it?
Oh my gosh. Well, unfortunately, $250,000 probably doesn't do a whole lot of good. The one thing I would love to see when we talk about the buildings, it would take more than 250,000. But when we talk about some of the buildings that are downtown, I would love to see those buildings up and running again. So, like the building next to us, right? The hotel next to us. I envision that space as what do you got? Like a event space. So not like another hotel or even apartments. And I know we need livability, but that space I think would be super fun to have it as an event space,
Mm.
um, which would bring people down. So I imagine a wedding there, and then you have the rooms upstairs for the wedding party, and yeah. So if I only had 250,000, I would do whatever I could just to help beautify the downtown.
Yeah, I love that. Tell me about one of your role models.
Um, well, I have a few because I feel like my family is my role models. Um, and that's probably a very generic answer that you get. But when I look at the uniqueness of my family, I was thinking about this today because I was always trying to think of some of the questions you might ask me. And one of them is, when you think about my family and what they do, they're all service oriented. My husband was in law enforcement and now he's security forces at the base, right? So he's still serving people. And, my son being a paramedic, my daughter's in the military. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of the oddball out, but they are my role models and they're my inspiration for going every single day.
Nice. Um, I'm going to preface the next question with, you aren't working on this day, but what is your perfect Klamath day? What would you do in a day that doesn't involve work?
Okay. My perfect day in Klamath. Um, that's a hard one, Heather, because I always work. I would say it would be fun to sit around and do nothing. Like, I actually would love my house. I love my house up at the Running Y. And actually, if I could just spend the day on my deck, just hanging out, not having to do anything, that would probably be a great day for me.
Sounds like a beautiful day.
Yeah.
That's fun. I really appreciate your time today. Thank you for coming in and visiting with me.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you to our producer, 40 Deuce Films.